If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Law Firm Practice Management Advice Podcast.
The fundamentals of business.
Join Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm as he discusses helpful strategies, tools, and insights to grow and manage a legal practice.
Good ideas are simple.
From improving client relationships to managing your team and scaling your practice, this podcast offers practical advice for navigating the challenges of law firm management.
Shall we proceed?
Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Law Firm Practice Management Advice. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is proactive productivity. And this episode today is based on an article on my blog, lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com, dated March 23rd, 2025. And the title of that article is Proactively Meeting Productivity Metrics. So as a follow-up to the episode today, go on over to my blog and read it for more information on this topic. But let's go ahead and jump on in. The reality is, within a law firm, productivity metrics matter. For employees to get paid, for the firm to meet its obligations, the law firm's got to bring in a certain amount of revenue. So, a lot of employees don't understand this, but in a law firm, there's payroll, there's rent, insurance, utilities, supplies, taxes, and other expenses that the average employee isn't even thinking about. So smart law firms, savvy law firms, what they do is they have a budget. And within that budget, they budget their expenses and try to project what they're going to be. Of course, it's hard to project that perfectly, but a law firm should attempt to do that. And then they've got to come up with productivity metrics that they need to meet in order to pay these obligations and hopefully make a little bit of a profit. All right, so this is going to work differently in different law firms, but for law firms that bill hourly, they're going to have billable hour requirements and they're going to have accounts receivable requirements. In other words, they're going to have numbers that they want their employees to meet in terms of billable hours and then getting paid for the work that they do on client cases. All right, now some law firms don't bill hourly. They might bill flat fee type billing. It might be a firm that does contingency fee billing, like a personal injury law firm or something like that. And within those law firms, the reality is the savvy ones, the smart ones, are going to have metrics they want their employees to meet in terms of how much revenue they're bringing in. And again, that revenue that they're bringing in is going to allow the law firm to pay their expenses and pay the employee and perhaps have a little bit of a profit where they can build up a reserve for the future or something like that. All right. Look, successful law firms do this. They have a budget, they have goals that they want their employees to meet, and then they track it. All right. If employees are successful, then most law firms are going to like these employees. They're going to want to keep these employees. On the other hand, if the employee is falling behind the productivity metrics, then law firms need to have mechanisms in place to try to improve their performance. So a law firm might opt for what's called a performance improvement plan. In some instances, it might be a situation where if the employee isn't performing better, they're not increasing their productivity, then they might not be able to keep that particular employee, all right? But one of the things that employees need to do in order to meet their productivity metrics, and I think this is the case in most law firms, is they've got to develop the ability to become self-sufficient in terms of meeting these specific metrics. So new employees in law firms have to know what the goals are, what the aspirations are, or what the requirements are, and then they've got to attempt to become self-sufficient in order to meet these requirements. All right, and this is going to look differently in different law firms, but successful employees within a law firm know what the requirements are, and they get to be pretty independent, pretty self-sufficient. They know what the requirement is, and they know how to meet that requirement. Again, it's going to look different in different firms, But for the average employee, they've got to develop the ability to be independent, okay? In some law firms, what this might mean is they've got to meet potential clients for initial consultations, and they've got to retain as many of the initial consultations as they can. And by doing that, they develop a book of business, and that book of business allows them then to meet these productivity metrics. In some law firms, referrals could be important, so developing referral-based business. And again, this is going to look differently in different law firms, but certainly making current clients happy can lead to referrals. Having lunch and meetings with other attorneys that don't practice in family law can be helpful. Then these individuals might think of you for referrals, and then maybe you can refer to them stuff that you don't do. Like areas of the law that you don't practice in. So if you can develop sort of a referral network with other attorneys, this can be an important thing. Getting involved in the community can be a big key in terms of developing a book of business. And this might involve joining a charitable board, or a club or an organization. It could involve just being out and about in the community from a social sense. And you're meeting people, and you've got your business cards with you, and then if people ask for it, you've got it with you to hand out in order to develop some business. Obviously, this is more for the lawyers, though. I mean, lawyers are going to be the ones developing the book of business, not the legal staff. But being independent and doing this can lead to a lot of success on the part of a lawyer. Now, obviously, in other law firms, this could look quite a bit different. If the law firm represents corporations or insurance companies and large businesses, and maybe they won't have to bring in a whole lot of work. In a lot of these law firms, what a lawyer needs to do is do a good job on the work that's assigned to them by the partners within the law firm, and then by performing solid legal work of a competent, diligent, and communicative manner, then hopefully the partners have trust in them, and they give more business to that particular lawyer. And I would say to the paralegals and legal assistants, when given work by a lawyer, you want to do an outstanding job. If you do an outstanding job for the lawyer, then the lawyer is going to have more faith and more trust in you, and then will ultimately give you more work and more assignments. But past that, one of the other big pieces for becoming self-sufficient, whether it's a lawyer or a legal staff member, is learning how these cases progress, whatever the area of law is. It's going to look different in different areas of the law, but knowing how these cases work from beginning to end, and then working these cases and moving these cases forward in a competent and diligent manner is going to be a big key. Lots of employees within a law firm want to be told everything in terms of what to do. And partners in law firms, superiors in law firms are busy and oftentimes don't have the time to do that. And so learning to be independent, learning how these cases progress and move forward is going to be a big key for any lawyer or even any legal staff member within a law firm, all right? The truth is, in saying this, some employees aren't self-sufficient in terms of meeting productivity metrics. For whatever reason, they struggle to get there. All right, and for employees like this, it's important to move past this, figure out what the issue is, and then rectify it, because becoming independent and self-sufficient and proactively meeting productivity requirements is just going to be a key. So let me give you some of the big areas where some employees can have trouble in terms of becoming proactive and meeting productivity requirements, all right? The first one is just not recording billable time entries in a law firm where billable hours matter, not recording it truthfully, honestly, and contemporaneously with the task being performed, okay? Some employees want to wait to the end of the day to put their time in, maybe the end of the week or the end of the month, this kind of thing, and typically employees who do this lose a lot of their billable time entries because they're not recording it as they go. So for a lot of employees, just billing the time, recording the time contemporaneously is a big key in terms of being proactive and meeting productivity metrics, all right? Two, one of the things that can happen is some employees are not performing all the necessary work on their case. I know I mentioned this before, but learning how a case progresses, how a case moves forward in a competent and a diligent manner is a big key. And then moving these cases forward in such a manner is how employees can be proactive in meeting productivity metrics. Sadly, some employees want to be told everything that they need to do, and if they're not told or given specific instructions, and they'll let a file figuratively sit and collect dust and they don't do anything on it. And when this takes place, certainly an employee is not moving the case forward, but past that, they're not meeting productivity metrics. Okay, so learning to be independent and how these cases move and work forward is going to be a huge key for anybody within a law firm. All right. A third thing that some employees struggle with is this, which is within law firms where lawyers got to meet potential clients and then hopefully get them to hire the firm. In law firms like this, some employees struggle. They struggle making a good first impression with potential clients. They struggle to build trust and confidence with potential clients, so then they meet lots of potential clients, and the clients don't hire the law firm. They go and hire another law firm instead. This is big trouble. So for lawyers out there who are meeting potential clients, and this is part of the job, you've got to hone these skills. You've got to get better at doing this. And if you're struggling, you have to take ownership of it and figure out what it is that the potential clients don't like when they meet with you, and then you try to correct that moving forward. Because, I mean, in a lot of law firms, all a law firm can do is advertise and market to bring in the potential clients. But if you're the one meeting them and you're not impressing them, that's troublesome and problematic, and it's going to make it hard to meet productivity metrics, okay? Number 4, I've kind of hit on already, but some employees only want to work on assigned tasks, okay? So they want a partner or a superior in the firm to tell them what to do, even on small items like mundane and routine tasks that a lawyer or a paralegal or legal assistant ought to know how to do, and they ought to know that it needs to be done, and then be pretty independent and being proactive and at least putting together a first draft of something for the lawyer to review. All right. But look, this is a big key in terms of being independent, which is knowing how these cases work, knowing how they progress, and then moving forward on drafting, on doing things in the case in order to move it forward. Obviously, a paralegal and legal assistant is going to work under the supervision of the lawyer. But like I said, a paralegal or legal assistant could do a first draft of a letter or some kind of routine kind of motion or notice of hearing or these kinds of things, and present it to the lawyer and be proactive in doing so. And by being proactive in doing so, they're meeting their productivity metrics, right? Most lawyers and legal staff members can't just sit in a law firm and say, well, partner didn't tell me to do this, and so until they give me a list of things they want, I'm just going to sit here and not do anything. That's troublesome. That's not being proactive, and employees who do that are going to always struggle to meet productivity metrics in any law firm, okay? And so again, being proactive in meeting productivity metrics is a huge key for successful lawyers and successful paralegals and legal assistants within a law firm. They understand that for them to get paid, they have to meet the productivity metrics, whatever those productivity metrics are. And it's vital to be proactive in meeting these productivity metrics versus not moving cases forward, not doing things on clients' cases, struggling with potential clients in consultations and these kinds of things. Because at the end of the day, these productivity metrics are there. They're there for a reason, and it ensures that the law firm stays in business and that they can continue to employ all the employees within the law firm. So being proactive in meeting productivity metrics is a huge key for employees, and definitely something that employees within a law firm want to understand and try to progress toward reaching in order to be successful in their legal career. All right, well, that's the topic today. As a follow-up to the episode today, go on over to my blog, lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com. Read the article titled Proactively Meeting Productivity Metrics. This will give you more information on this topic, but thanks for tuning in today. Stay tuned to our next episode coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Practice Management Advice Podcast with Kirk Stange. Kirk Stange is the president and founding partner of Stange Law Firm, a multi-state divorce and family law practice. For more insight on similar law firm management topics, visit his practice management advice blog at lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com.